Man, I've been playing Assassin's Creed Origins for like nearly, I think 60 hours now. And I almost got all the quests done. Like I'm at 90 quests out of 130, so that's pretty solid. There's just so many question marks on the map, man. And the map is huge too, and there's still Z stuff as well. God damn. There's so much to do in Assassin's Creed Origin, and there's 3 more. There's honestly, there's Valhalla, now there's Mirage Hour. Great. Oh my lord. But I'm having fun actually. I'm honestly, I am enjoying Assassin's Creed Origins. I get the some people say that it doesn't feel Assassin's Creed like, and I get it, but I think it's also like that. The fact that it doesn't is very refreshing, cause like we had like Black Flag, Rogue, and Unity all kind of like felt similarly to each other. So I feel like Origins being like this whole new like feeling, a giant map as well that you can travel. I think that's pretty clever to like give it a whole new coat. And honestly, I like Bayek as a character. I like him as a character a lot. I like what he stands for, and I love the fact that like as a Magi, he's not in the shadows. He's a public protector, which with assassins, most assassins in Assassin's Creed are supposed to be like, you know, they're hidden in the shadows. No, you're not supposed to know they exist. They do like a lot of like things in the background. Yeah, of course, the way we play Assassin's Creed, that's not really the case now. Is like a lot of times we are out in the open just doing shit, but like lore wise, it's supposed to be like you're not even supposed to know they were here a moment ago. So it's really interesting to see how like it all started with a protector who was very public and very like almost the entirety of Egypt knew who he was. But yeah, let's continue with SCP now, because we got a useful plant to read. Alrighty then. Here we go. Keto. Oh. Not very useful if it's keto now, is it? Exactly one colony of SCP-1621 is to be kept intact within Biocontainment Area 9. SCP-1621 byproduct is to be collected for use by the Foundation as a component in rocket fuels, in industrial cleaning and etching operations for semiconductors, in nuclear reactor fuel processing and other industrial operations. And that's probably where the name Useful Plant came from. And disposed of within a stainless steel. So they used to collect it for all that shit, but then like they realized that maybe that was not a small idea. The containment chamber collection equipment and airlocks must be constructed entirely from stainless steel or copper. Under no circumstances is water to be released above soil level. Subsurface irrigation is sufficient for SCP-1621's hydration. Look at that picture. Look at that little plant right here. Look at that. It's actually a beautiful looking plant though, gotta say. Gotta say. I say, boy! That's a beautiful plant, I say. Mandatory level A hazardous materials suits as well as a CO2 and light delivery equipment is to be polymer sealed to prevent Cl2F6 vapor reactions. Oh boy. PTFE, Teflon, PCTFE, KelF, or another similar dry, highly fluorinated polymer. Oh god. See, this is probably the reason why it's gonna be rated 20. Cause like, one thing, like I understand for like SCP is where like scientific nerds can just release the knowledge and make some fantastic idea. But here's a problem: if you don't like chemistry, especially chemistry, like out of all the sciences, is so hard to like, you know, just because with physics and biology you can at least understand part of it. Like you can understand like oh, this will cause cancer. You're like, okay, that I I understand that the process of that, or like it will make it frictionless. Those are very simple stuff, of course. I know those are like very like basic physics and biology things that can happen, but like everybody can understand that. But with chemistry, because like the chemical, like the table itself is like the start of it. And if you're not interested in chemistry, that's going to be very hard to understand. If somebody were to like give you like Cl2F6, you're like, I don't know what that means. So like, yeah, I mean, unless you explain it throughout the post itself, it's not going to make sense to a lot of people. In the event of a containment breach, all personnel are to immediately report to the assigned safe room. Upon detection of Cl2F6 vapors beyond 0.01 ppm within the safe room, or once all reported personnel are within the safe room will seal. When all safe rooms have been hermetically sealed, BCA-9 will flood the facility and containment chamber with liquid nitrogen. See, liquid nitrogen is like a term that most people will understand. Like, okay, that's what happens. Probably like to just freeze off the chemical and kill it off immediately. That I get. All colonies of SCP-1621 not earmarked for transfer to BCA-09 are to be isolated and destroyed. SCP-1621 has proven resistant to indirect force, radioactivity, and heat, theoretically as a defense against its own reactions. Redirection of local water supplies to induce permanent flooding is preferred. If impractical, the infection and a 10-meter radius beyond must be tiled under to a depth of 2 meters and treated with liquid nitrogen to neutralize the vines, stalks, and roots. Description: SCP-1621 is an invasive flowering mimic vine similar to Rhizophora, Tetrococcus, Rafflesia, Viola, and Passiflora. While no specimen of SCP-1621 has ever exhibited sentience or sapience of any sort, all specimens mimicked, albeit imperfectly, locally indigenous species, which originally lead to subclassification of SCP-1621. Note, however, that only one genotype of SCP-1621 has been identified. All variants are merely adaptive. All variants are merely adaptive camouflage. Now, just to like make sure, like we can, from context clues and what you wrote before, we can make sense that this chemical here, or like this like combination of chemicals, is helpful for semiconductors, nuclear reactor, and industrial operations. That we understand. I'm just saying that like for a comfort reading or just a normal reading, this could definitely like confuse a lot of people. It's even people that have read SCPs for like years, like they look at this and be like, and if they have no idea about chemistry, they're just gonna be like, I don't know what this means. Analysis of the chemical hazards of SCP-1621 follows: corrosive, dangerous, with heat, explosive, inhalation hazard, and combustible. Is that supposed to be dangerous with heat, or is that something else? Oh, when wet. And combustible. Oh, that makes sense because it's blue. The flowers, roots, and vines of SCP-1621 utilizes chlorine trifluoride in place of sap or nectar. Well, that's a damn. So is Cl2F6, is that chlorine trifluoride? Vaporized at 13 degrees Celsius, is colorless and smells sweet. Okay. SCP-1621 must fertilize itself to expand the colony. The sweet scent of Cl2F6 attracts insects and animals, which at 800 ppm is lethal within 15 minutes and incapacitating for us sooner. Compared to carbon monoxide, which requires 6,400 ppm to reach the same level of lethality. So this bad boy, what's ppm again? Is that like pumps per minute? No, it's just kidding. But like, yeah, this little flower is definitely deadly. SCP-1621 sap and nectar are corrosive, toxic, hypergolic, and on contact with most combustible materials without a spark or ignition source, react violently when in contact with water, ice, or silicon containing compounds including sand, asbestos, and glass. is incompatible with oil, grease, reducing agents, organic compounds, fuels, and combustibles. And most metals and metal oxides cannot catch fire and so cannot be neutralized by ignition and decompose into chlorine. Fluorine and hydrogen fluoride gases are exposed to temperatures higher than 220 degrees Celsius. Disposal can be safely managed by exposing equal parts sap nectar with kerosene and collecting the resultant vapors for distillation into component elements. The root structures of SCP-1621 are approximately doubled in areas those it mimics. It provides with nutrients from carrion. It will also extrude vines in all directions as a visible, observable place that continues until the carrion is dissolved and the nutrient supply exhausted. Provided with enough carrion, SCP-1621 expands at a rate of meters per hour. Stationary objects are enveloped, slowing during vertical movement, but typically on or more instances of a Cl2F6 reaction have reduced stationary objects to rubble, scrap, or ash. Ooh. Once a vine can do so without overlapping with the host stalk, it penetrates the soil and begins to sprout, creating a new stalk expanding the colony. In all but the most arid climates, SCP-1621 wipes out all other plant life around the colony by the way of corrosion and through Cl2F6 reactions triggered by rainfall. Addendum: fruit-bearing specimens do not contain Cl2F6, and in fact, if they can be harvested safely, have proven safe to eat, and a close approximation of the fruit mimicked. Well, but you gotta be fucking fast if you want to eat that shit. Because once it lands in the ground and starts to sprout, you're kind of screwed, aren't you? Is that the reason? I mean, I can see why it's considered useful because, I assume because they thought they can use it to empower the semiconductors, the nuclear reactors, and so on and so forth, and it even mimics other plants that you can eat. Of course, only the what you can eat. When it's fucking, that's some fruit fall, but other than that, you can basically not do anything with it, right? You just be fucked. You might burn, you might explode. The corrosive acid might melt you through. There's so many things of it that can kill you. Which makes me, I guess the only way for it to spread is once it has to create the pollen of a plant and then some animal bee comes along and then takes it, but they have to be fast because that shit might kill you. It has the lethality of its lethality is pretty quick. 800 ppm, right? Instead of the 6,400 ppm. Which I assume means it means there's less ppm needed to kill you, which means it's more lethal. I assume that's what it means. That's the thing. ppm and chemistry is where I absolutely failed completely. So I'm not the man to ask, or the man to brainstorm this SCP through and give a good feedback on it, because I just don't know what the hell I just read.